Hi, I'm Odell Borg. We're here today to familiarize you with the Native American flute and teach you how to play. It's one of the easier instruments to learn how to play. Most flutes operate the same way, except for this instrument. It's very unique. As you blow into it, the air goes up underneath this thing called a fetish. Then it gets compressed and it comes out of this tiny little slot here at the bottom. The air comes out like a little mini hurricane, comes across a sharp edge and splits, and that's how it makes the sound. Now normally when you're playing what they call a transverse flute, like this, you have to do all that with your mouth. Here it's all done for you. They really knew what they were doing with this instrument. It was very simple. It's ingenious but very simple. The Native Americans, like most tribal cultures, really never had a written music language. They basically wound up with instruments that they developed that were very simple. The drum, the rattle, and the flute. So what they developed are instruments that were very harmonic, meaning because they didn't find it necessary to have to deal with written music, the complexity of all that, they developed instruments that when one sound was played, it worked well with the other one. There was no complication. That's why this is so easy to play without having to learn how to read music and get into the Western concept of that. Now, the hardest thing to do with this instrument is to be able to close all the holes. If you can do that, you can play. It's as simple as that. Because you're just blowing into the end at this point. So, just close all of the holes, okay? Here's the sound that you get. Now I know that sounds really easy to do. It says, okay, oh gosh, what's the big deal? For some reason, you're training your fingers to do something you haven't really done before. One, you're stretching them out a little bit. So you want to make sure that you place your fingers directly over the hole. The tendency is to play it like this, where you're kind of using your finger right on top like that. Avoid doing that. Play somewhat flat-fingered. It gives you better coverage on the holes themselves. So when you're placing your fingers on here, make them kind of flat. Not totally flat like this where you're overplaying the flute, but just right with the meaty part of your finger, okay? Now, what happens is these two fingers are real simple, okay? These two are real simple. It's this one. It's a little bit of a stretch. So the tendency is to have it be open. And here's the sound you're going to get if it is. You want to avoid that, obviously. Just trust, though, that when you're not getting a good, pure sound, that one of the holes is slightly open. That's the only mistake, okay? Now the other important thing is when you're playing a 5-hole flute, is what this is, use the third finger and keep it down here, right here, okay? It's important because when you have all the holes open like this, this is what supports the flute, okay? Now if you do, the natural tendency is to go like this, okay? You'll find that out real quick because you won't be able to open up that top hole without having to kind of maneuver your hands down here. So make sure this finger is right on the flute.